Everyone, and welcome to the Houzz Pro onboarding webinar. Today, I'm going to take you through some basic tips for setting up your Houzz profile, the premium features that are available to you now that you're a Houzz Pro member, as well as the management software and setting up your Houzz Pro account. To start with, you'll notice we're on a Houzz profile that's pretty well built out, and this is a great example of where you can take your profile to once you're able to start adding more content to your page. Now, the first feature I'd like to speak about is your profile photo. So we'd always recommend uploading a headshot first. A logo is a good second if you don't have a headshot, but keep in mind when uploading your headshot that you want to make sure it's not too far away, not too close up either. You look friendly and approachable. We can see your eyes clearly, and you've got a nice, neat background as well. Second, I'd like to speak about reviews. Now, reviews are so important as they're actually the number one hiring criteria on Houzz. You can send your review link to your past clients as well as professional connections so that you can start getting reviews on your page. We'd really recommend getting as many 5-star reviews as possible, as we know that's what homeowners are looking for on Houzz. Now, when editing and uploading your information into the back end of your profile, you'll just want to go through and make sure that you do your business description in the About Us section. That's really an opportunity to give details as to what your business does, what sets you apart from your competition, and the types of projects that you engage in as well. You'll want to list all the services that you provide as well as the areas that you service, and don't forget to pop in your typical job cost as well. That will really help any potential clients looking at your page know the size of the projects that you typically take on. Then, as you start to get more professional photos of your projects, you'll just want to upload them to your profile, keeping that online portfolio as current and up to date as you can. Okay, now let's have a look at some of those premium features that I mentioned. And the first one I want to talk about is the featured review. We mentioned how important reviews are on Houzz, and reviews typically will be listed in the order that they come in on your profile. But by selecting a featured review, you're able to select a review that you feel best highlights your business and keep that to the top of the list. It'll also be visible in the professional directory when clients find you there as well. Next, I'd like to talk about the highlight video. Now, this is such an important feature, and as you start to get more content on your page, you really want to go ahead and set this up. It takes the best parts of your profile, so that includes your reviews, your photos, and it splices it together in a 60-second video reel with some music. It's such a great way to stand out and look professional, but also showcase the best parts of your business and the projects that you do to potential clients in 60 seconds. So you definitely want to go ahead and set that one up. Lastly, I just want to talk about the standouts that are available to you, and they will live underneath your Houzz profile picture here to the left side. Now, there's a bunch of different standouts that you can select from, but the goal here is to really highlight those key aspects of your business. This will again also be visible on your directory listing, so you want to go in and select the standouts that best describe your business. Now let's go and have a look at the Houzz Pro portal. So to access the Houzz Pro portal, all you need to do is click on this blue Go to Houzz Pro button in the top right hand corner. And that's going to take you away from your public profile into the back end, which is the professional portal. You'll see the blue logo up the top here now because this is professional facing. Houzz Pro, welcome. So I would recommend bookmarking this page. You'll see the star here where you can bookmark it. Go ahead and pop it into your folders in your bookmark page to make it really easy for you to come in, and do what you need to do and check your account when you need to. I want to show you this navigation bar on the left hand side here. You'll see Grow is a collapsible folder and manage. As I mentioned, the solution helps you market and manage your business. So the Grow portion you'll see has some basic insights about your content on your Houzz profile. So your reach, the number of times your profile is being seen, your photos as well. Especially if you were on a paid marketing subscription, this is where your analytics would live. I'm not going to go into that too much because, again, most of the users on today are not on a paid branding subscription. They're on the software subscription. But I do want to highlight resources because I mentioned to you there is a page with some information and some tips and tricks to use and build out your Houzz profile, and that is the How to Houzz page here. So I recommend, especially if you haven't looked at your Houzz profile much yet, check out this page. There's lots of great content there, but of course you can always contact us and ask us questions as well. Then you have the manage portion, and these are all the tools to interact with your clients. Before we jump into that, I want to go through some basic account setup and a few things you want to have in order before you start doing that. So in the top right hand corner here, you'll see your Houzz where you sign in. If I hover on top of that, you'll notice I get a drop down and there are two settings here. There's edit profile settings. That allows you to edit your Houzz profile settings. And then there's Houzz Pro settings, and that is your internal portal where we're now. That's the one we want because we want to make sure that our account settings are all set up so that when we start working with our clients, everything is good to go. So it takes you to this page here, Houzz Pro settings, and there are a couple different tiles. I want to take you into account. So this information that you enter in here will actually populate the dynamic documents that you create with Houzz Pro later. So when you're creating a proposal or an invoice, they will automatically generate beautifully branded with your business details because you've entered them in here. So this is where you want to start. It's a one-time entry only to have all your documents branded. So you'll see I've got my logo put in and all of my business details as well. The payments tab is, you want to set this up as well, and this will allow your clients to pay you by credit card, again, on those documents that you are sending them. So if you're sending them an invoice, they can go ahead and automatically enter in their details and pay you very quickly, which is fantastic. So a couple things to note here. You'll notice my account is verified. For you, you'll just want to follow the prompts and go ahead and put in your bank details. It may ask you to upload your photo ID for security measures. So you can just take a photo of your driver's license back and front and upload that into the system to verify and activate your payment account. So we use a third-party processor, Stripe. They do take a 2.5% surcharge on online payments. So what a lot of our designers will do so that they can still utilize those fast, easy payments with their clients is they'll just go ahead and add an extra service, credit card surcharge, and add an extra 2.5% to that invoice or to that proposal so that their client is paying that fee and you don't get hit. That's what we would recommend doing. The next tab across is teams and rates. Now, this is where you could add your team members in and you can set up the rates for you and your team as well. So you'll notice I have my junior designers with all of their rates in here, and then I'm at the bottom with my rates as well. So to add a team member, all you need to do is click the blue add team member. You'll get a pop-up window, pop in their name, their role, their email, their employee cost. And then underneath here, you'll see you can set their permissions. So this is what you're allowing them to access within the Houzz Pro account. So anything that has to do with rates or financials or any sort of sensitive information, you'll notice is turned off by default. So before you click and save and send this to your team member, just make sure you're happy with the permissions. We have a full guide of what all of these permissions mean in our support center. So you just want to search that up and have a look if you're not sure. And then all you do is click save. What will happen on your team members' end is they will receive an email from your company asking them to create a login. They'll do so, and then they'll be able to access Houzz Pro only with the permissions that you've set from here. Once they're in, you can start setting up their rates. So all you need to do is click the set up new rate at the bottom here and just follow the guide here. What are you putting in? The service type, is it, an admin fee? Put in the cost. You can put in if it's a billable service or not. Description, go ahead and save that. The same is with your rates. If I scroll to the bottom, here's my account, and I can set up my rates as well. Okay. The last thing I want to show you here is sales tax. So this is your default tax settings. This doesn't mean that you can't edit these later or change them on the go, but it does mean by default, when you are adding items, whether it be products or services into your Houzz Pro products and services library, they will by default be either inclusive or exclusive of tax, depending on what you've selected here. Right? So I've got inclusive for both of mine. So what I'm saying here is when I add a product, I'm adding it inclusive of tax. So let's say I'm adding a table to my products and services library for $100, and I'm saying that's $100 inclusive of tax. So what I'm actually saying is that the table is $90 and my client is paying $10 tax on top of that, $100 inclusive of tax. Now, if majority of the products I'm entering are exclusive of tax, I would just want to deselect that box. So for the same example, what I'm saying now is if I'm adding that item in for $100 exclusive of tax, it means my client will be paying $100 for that item. And then when I put it on a document, I also need to add tax at the document level later. So in fact, they'll be paying $110 for that item. And that's because I entered it exclusive of GST. Right? So depending on how you're sourcing, wholesale, retail, inclusive and exclusive will come into play. Again, I'll show you how to edit that on the go, but if you know that majority of the products you work with are retail products, then your best bet would actually be to add in inclusive so you don't have to do maths later. So go ahead and save that. The taxable button, most items in Australia should be taxable unless you're doing accessible design or something like that. You've got railings and ramps. They're usually, non-taxable, so you can deselect that. But if you're just, doing pretty much, normal residential or commercial projects, then most items will be taxable. You want to have that selected. Okay, so let's go back. So that is go back again, account information. There's another tile I want to show you in here as well. You will see subscription, so you can always check your subscription details, profile billing, but what I want to show you is your calendar. You want to set this up. You can integrate your calendar. You'll see I have my Google Calendar linked. Most calendars will link with Houzz Pro, and this will allow you to easily share your calendar with clients. They can also access your calendar if you put it in a quick link email where they can book calls with you, and they can also book video consultations, which is a brand new feature to Houzz Pro. And considering what is happening in the world right now, it's actually a really used feature, which is fantastic. We have a lot of designers that are doing remote consultations as they need to. So now you have the option to allow your client to do a normal phone call or a video call with you as well. So just follow the prompts. You'll see that you can select your availability and booking, schedule that, whether you want to have them book in on weekends or not. make sure you're happy with your settings, and integrate and link your calendar. Okay, so that's all the basic setup for Houzz Pro. I'm going to go into the manage section over here now as well. So the first tab you'll see is leads. So this is where you can interact and email your clients all from the one spot, right? So you'll see my list of leads here. I have 8 leads, and there are different stages that my leads can be in. You'll see up for review, so anything new that I import into Houzz Pro, or if anyone messages me through my Houzz profile, they'll appear here ready for me to review. The next stage is follow-up. So perhaps I'm already speaking with this client and I need to go away and see if I have the capacity to take on this project. I might have moved that lead into the follow-up stage. Maybe I've already scheduled meetings with them. That's what that stage is. And I've sent them a initial estimate as well. Over here, you'll see one and inactive. So once I actually win that project, so they're not a potential client anymore, they've agreed to hire me, I've agreed to take on that project, I can mark that as a 1 project, and also any inactive projects. So you can snooze your leads. Maybe they're not ready to go ahead just yet. Maybe you're fully booked out, but they're happy to wait for the next 2 months. You can snooze inactive leads as well, and that's where they would be. But I would encourage you to import all of your leads, no matter where they're contacting you from, into this one system. This is going to help you, 1, stay organized, but 2, help you respond quicker to your clients, because everything will be in the one place. You don't have to go to multiple platforms. And by responding faster to your clients, you're providing a stronger and more positive client experience for them. And that's what we want to help you foster. So let me show you how to import your clients into Houzz Pro. You've got 2 options. If you've got a list, you can import your lead list, or you can do one by one, just add a new lead, which is the one I'm going to show you right now. So all you need to do is come to this page, create a new lead. You can put in the project general details, so put in a project name. You can enter in your client's details. So if they're a repeat client and you've already got their information in here, you can select from your client list, or you can very easily create a client on the spot and just put in all their contact details. Underneath would be the details of the project. So the estimated budget, the type of project that it is, the lead source. So this is really important because, again, you can see it doesn't have to come from Houzz. It could be a client that was word of mouth, or they called you, or they found you on Google. Enter that in. You can also put in the expected start date and then the description of the project as well. Once you've done all that, you would click done and save, and that lead would appear in the list here, ready to go. So now I want to show you the functionality of the lead system now that you have that information in here. So I'm going to click on the first one to run you through how it works. So you'll see it does look like an email. The back and forth between me and my client are here. I can write them a message. It's got the normal formatting tools that an email would have, but it has a lot of extra functionality. First of all, what you'll notice is those lead details are on hand. So when I just took you through creating the lead and we put in the estimated budget, the lead source, the description, all of that is here ready to go. So when I am speaking with my client and writing an email to them, I don't need to leave this page to go and have a look at their file. I've got all their information here on hand, and I can edit it from here if I need to as well. Also, what you'll notice is down here, you can do quick response templates, which is great. So again, allowing you to respond to your clients faster. And we also have quick tokens that allow you to integrate your calendar, as well as pull your client details. So the client name is one. So if I'm just clicking on my quick response, it will automatically adjust to the client that I'm speaking to. I can also link my calendar, as you can see here as well. Now, on the client side, if you share your calendar link with them, they can click on it. It looks like this. Here you'll see they can select that video call if you have set that up and if it's an option for them, and they can come in, find your availability and send that invite. That calendar invite will go both to you and your client, and it will move this lead into the meeting stage automatically because a meeting has been scheduled. Alternatively, if you're not sharing your client and you want to have that control, you can see just what I did there was click on the calendar and view my availability from here as well and book the client in myself. So again, I'm not flicking away to another screen. I'm not leaving. If I'm on this email and I need to quickly find my availability, it's all in the one spot, making it easy, streamlining this process for me. The other thing you can do is always add internal notes into your lead. So you'll see here when I hover on top of any of these email messages, I get these three little dots. So I can go ahead and add an internal lead. I can copy the message. I can create a template from the email that I've just written. But what I want to do is an internal note. So only yourself and your team will be able to view these notes. And these are great, especially if you have a really long chain of emails and they've mentioned a few different details here and there, and you want to just collate those details or highlight them for yourself so you know which email it was they mentioned that they saw your renovation project on such and such website and they want something similar. Go ahead and highlight that message. And you'll see now when you're scrolling through, any notes that you've highlighted are really quick and easy for you to find. And they're specific to that message. So your notes aren't, flying around. You're not writing them down on pen and paper. You're not putting them in another file. They're there, easy for you to find. You'll also notice that there is a notes tab up here. So you can definitely put in general notes for this project. You don't have to attach them to a specific email. If you just want to do general notes, you absolutely can. And then also you can do your call logs, which is great as well. So if you're on the phone to a client, you're booking them in for an appointment, you want to log the details that they're telling you on the call right now, you can just type your call log in, type away. You'll notice that it automatically saves for you, so you don't have to save this. And it's going to timestamp it with the date and time as well for this call. So again, all your information is in the one spot. Your emails, your notes for your emails, your general notes, and your calls. And then also files. So any information that you want to upload, inspiration photos, mood boards, terms of agreement, whatever it is, you can also upload them into this lead as well. Then you'll see up here, convert to project. So if we're happy and our client has agreed, yep, this sounds great, and you've agreed to take this project on, you can simply convert this to a project. All right, so that's our lead tool. So let's say, yes, our client is happy. We're going to move on to the next phase. We're going to go X. And it's going to take us to the list of active projects that we're currently working on within Houzz Pro. So you'll notice over here, you can always archive a project once you're done with it, close it out. So this is the list that I've currently got open. So once again, when you convert that lead to a project, it would appear here in your projects list. So I'm going to click into a project. So when we click into a project, you'll see the initial dashboard for this particular project only. It's showing you some basic financials and breakdown of what's happening with the project right now. Now, before you start working with a client and start specifying items to that client, you'll want to download the Ivy Clipper. So you can do this two ways. You can either search the Ivy Clipper in our support center, or you can just go to the Google Chrome web store and search Ivy Clipper. They're both going to bring you to this page here. So it will say download Ivy Clipper. And once it is downloaded, it's a Google Chrome extension. So it's going to live at the top of your browser. You'll see I've got a bunch of different extensions here. It's the Ivy leaf at the end there. And that's where it's going to live. So I can just click on that extension when I'm wanting to use it. So let's say I'm going to toggle out of Houzz Pro now onto a vendor website. And let's say I come across an item that I want to, 1, save to my products and services library, and 2, I also want to specify this item to a project. I've got a project in mind that I want to share this with, but I also want to store it to my product library. So another tip I want to give you is to actually have your vendor websites on the same tab, so on the same window, in a different tab, but on the same window as your Houzz Pro account, to make sure that when you're clipping, it all works correctly. So I've come across this rug. Now you could be on any vendor website that you normally use. All you need to do to activate the Ivy Clipper is click on the leaf, and now you'll see this menu appear here. So this is what I want. I want to capture the information. I want to store it into this window. When I hover on top of the image, you'll notice this little ivy leaf appear, and that's what we want. When I click on that leaf, it captures the image. I can capture multiple images if I like. If there's a bunch of different images here and I want to select them all, I absolutely can. I simply do that by clicking through and just clicking that leaf. Now, when I want to get the product detail, I can click the little hand and just hover on top. So when I hover on top of the product title and click, I get this drop-down menu with all of the fields that are in the menu here, and I can select the one that I want. So I want product title, it automatically goes across. If I want to scroll down to the description, I can select that, and that's going to pull it in the client description. If I want to select the materials, you'll see I can do that also. I can put in any details that I need, dimensions, you can do that as well. Right, so you're seeing how quick and easy it is to just go ahead, select what you need, click the hand, and capture the information. So the goal here is you do want to capture as much data as possible, because again, this is going to save you having to come back to the site again, but also these details will pull on any purchase orders you create later as well. So you want to have all of that information stored. Now I want to go back to the cost up here, because this is where the product does get quite smart. So if I do hover on top of the cost and select that, you'll notice here that I can actually set my markup from within the clipper. Now this is great if you use particular sites or vendors and you know that you always have a standard markup for that supplier. You can go ahead and save this into your product library with that markup pre-saved, so you don't need to think about it later. I know a lot of designers do that. That's going to save you time and you won't have to think about it. But I also know a lot of designers prefer to not save an item into their product library with a markup. They'd much rather set a markup on a client level later, client to client, depending on the client and the situation. In that case, you wouldn't go ahead and pre-save it in here. But for the sake of today's demonstration, I am going to show you how to pre-save a markup so that this is stored into our product library with a markup ready to go. So let's say whenever I'm purchasing from this supplier, I always know that I want to mark up 30%. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to click this little calculator icon. What it does now is it shows me the unit cost, so the cost to me as a designer. It shows me the percentage that I'm marking this item up on. It's showing me my client price, what they will be paying. And it's also going to calculate and show me the profit that I'm making on this item before I've even added it to a document. And it's done all of that for you without you having to think of any maths. It also can work backwards. So I know some designers say, I don't know the percentage, but maybe I want to round this up to a nice $850. You can absolutely do that. Put in your client price, what you want them to pay, and Houzz Pro will do the rest. It will calculate your percentage and your profit for you. I also want to show you the inclusive and exclusive button, right? So remember I was telling you in your default settings, it's going to automatically pull those settings. So I had inclusive ticked, so automatically it's ticked for me here. But I can deselect it if I wanted to. So I'm on a retail website. I do want this item, this rug, to be added inclusive of GST. But if I was on wholesale, you'll see how easy it is. I can edit it on the go if I need to. And it does make that difference, right? So you'll notice here, because I'm adding it inclusive, the markup is on the exclusive price. So my profit is $217. But if I'm adding it inclusive, my markup is on this price as exclusive. And so it does change. So you want to make sure you do have that set correctly. So I'm going to click that as set. Let's finish this off. I can go ahead and put in the category. So I've got pre-filled categories in my library. I'm going to put this under rugs. I also already have this supplier stored to my library, so I can select them. But you can see if I didn't, I can definitely add it on the go from the clipper. I don't need to go back into my account. I can select the project that I'm working on, and I can specify it to a room. So remember I mentioned it's going to save it to the product library, but we can also specify it to a particular client and to that client's particular room as well. Go ahead and finish off the details and click save. And when that's done, you'll get a little yippee. It's been saved into your account. So let's toggle back into Houzz Pro now. And we're going to go to the room boards page. So room boards are fantastic. They're a really great way that you can, present options and ideas forward to your client before you're even going to take a payment yet. This is great for those early stages where you're still discussing ideas and styles and designs, and you want to put forward some options to your client. Room boards are fantastic. So you can see, you can just click add new board, follow the prompts, and create your board, and it will appear within your project here. So I'm going to go into the living room because this is where we specified that item. You'll see the jute bauble rug is there. It's also living in my products and services library now as well. So it saves it, pre-saves it to my library, so I can always use it again later if I need. But because I also selected the room and the project, it's now living in here. If I want to add some extra items, I can go ahead and access my library. So at the top here, add items, products and services. I can go to my library, all my items, and I can select anything extra that I want to add as well that I've already saved into my library. So from here, there's a couple of different functions that I want to go through with you. First of all, we know how important it is for designers to protect yourself. You don't want to get shopped. So you can absolutely control and dictate what information you want to share with your client. For example, that jute bauble rug that we just clipped together, when I click on that item, I'm going to get the full detail of that item. And what you'll see here is client title and client description. Now, this means that I can edit these details. So if I just wanted to call this rug, I absolutely could. And that is what my client will see this item as. Internally, for my records, it's still going to have the correct name. In the product library, it's still going to have the correct name. And again, when I create a purchase order later, it will pull from the correct details. So if I'm putting rug option 1 or whatever it is, that's not the information that will go into my vendor description on my purchase order. Same here, you'll see the client description and the vendor description. You can have that as a different description, again, allowing you to have control over what you want your client to see. So I'm going to save that. Yes, we do want to update that description and go ahead and save. Before we share the room board, there's a couple of other things you can do. You'll see the 3 dots in the top right hand corner here where it says more. I can create a mood board directly from the room board. I can convert to document, and I can pull spec sheets as well. So let's go ahead and do that. The first one I want to do is the mood board with you. When I click that, it's going to load into our mood board menu. And from here, it's just going to have the items that I had within that room board. I can always add extra items if I need to, but it's preloaded the items from the room board. So I can go ahead and select the couch. You'll see that it does crop the background. So now we have the white background, which is what we want. We can click and drag and move it around. We can put in the dressing cabinet as well. And you can absolutely move these items around, change the size if you need to. Oops, didn't want to clip that. You can go ahead and select the cushions. And what you'll see also is you can skew. So you'll notice that I can move it to the back or the front. In this case, we're going to keep it to the front. So you can put the couches on, the cushions on the couch if you need to. I'm not going to spend too much time going into how to use the mood board because there's a lot to cover, but I want to give you an idea of what you can create. So you can do that scalable layout if you need to. So you're seeing here that the mood board allows you to really present your vision and show the idea of the items that you want to have, whereas the room board is more of it's like a virtual spec sheet that allows your clients to view all the details that you show them, which I'll show you in a minute. Just want to put a couple more items in here. Okay, and let's just put the lamp in as well. So you'll see you can flip, you can crop, you can rotate, you can delete items. Again, you can bring them to the back, to the front, change the sizing. You can add text as well if you need to. We have a ruler function if you do need to show any particulars in terms of height. You can go ahead and do that as well. You can change color of the font. All of those details here, and you can actually also upload any images or files from your computer. So if you wanted to pop your logo in, or there was anything extra you wanted to add, you could do so as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. All right, so now when we go into our mood board, we can go ahead and add that as well. So just load that in. Okay. The other thing I want to show you from the room board phase is you can also view a spec sheet. So if I click on view spec sheet, you can see that I can either do pricing or no pricing. And we can select the items that we want. So I'm just going to select a couple to show you and click create. And these are PDFs that you can download and you can email to your client, or you can print and take to your client meetings. And they'll have only the client facing information that you wanted to present to your client, as well as it being branded. So it only took a couple seconds to load. It's got my logo and it's got all the details of that item. It's got my company details at the bottom as well, all ready to go. And again, remember, client facing details. So it doesn't appear with the jute bauble rug. It's pulling only the client facing information that we wanted to share. Really easy to download for your client. But I want to show you the full functionalities of the room board. So let's say now you have that all ready to go and you want to share that with your client. you simply want to click send to client. And down here, you'll see you're able to set some extra permissions. So do you want to allow them to see pricing, approve or decline? We're going to leave that on because that is a really cool functionality. And you would simply click send. I'm going to click preview because that will show me the client view. And I would encourage you to always preview what you're sending to your clients, especially while you're getting used to the new system as well. So this is what your client will see. They're going to receive a live link from your company, and it's going to take them through to the room board. So they don't need to have an account. They just click on the live link and this is what they see. And this is what I mean by a virtual spec sheet. They can click on it and they can view the different angles of the item that you've selected. They'll only see the client-facing information. They can click through and view all of these items, which is pretty cool, right? It's such a cool client experience to go through. It's not just a PDF schedule that you're sending them. They can really get a look and a feel for the items that you're specifying as well. If I did, save my mood board in here, you could have that scalable layout in here ready to go as well. What they can do now is they can chat you from here. So if you're presenting a couple different options, maybe they want to ask if it comes in another color, another size, another shape, so they can go ahead and interact with you on that specific item. And when we go back into your professional view, what you'll notice is the item that they've left you a comment on will now have a little pop-up window with a red notification. So you will know that they've left a comment on that item. You'll also get an email alert as well, but it's easy for you to see within the room board that yes, I have a comment waiting for me. You can click, read the comment, and you can reply back as well. So this is a really useful feature. I speak to designers where, they've got texts going, again, WhatsApp, maybe, later in the project, they change their mind and say, no, can you go back to that original item that you specified? All your details and notes for each item are going to be saved exactly where you need it to be. So really easy for you to find and see. Here we go. Make the room board, mood board visible for our client. Okay, so now that your client has chatted you and you've discussed the items and you're happy with what you've presented to them, let's go back to the client view. Now they might go ahead and approve and decline items. So this is great, especially if you're presenting different options. So let's approve and we can decline items. They can undo, they can approve a couple of things here. Maybe out of these lamps, they want the gray one, so they're going to decline the rattan one. Approve. And so I'm just going to approve a couple items so that we have something to work with within our mood board. Okay, so a couple approved in the client. So back in your view now, in the professional view, that's going to automatically update. Right, so now they've approved these items. You can move on to your next phase. Maybe you still have items that you haven't gotten approval on. Maybe these two are still options, but you want to get going. You want to go ahead and take a deposit and start this project. Really easy to do. All we need to do is click more, and we're going to convert this to a document. Now you'll see that we can either go to a proposal or an invoice. I'm going to go to a proposal. The reason I'm going to a proposal instead of an invoice is the proposal still allows you to approve and decline. Now, an invoice, that's your official accounting document. Your client shouldn't be declining anything from an invoice. They should be paying everything on there. And if there's any differences with shipping, or maybe you go ahead to place an order and an item's out of stock, or it's the last one and the price has gone up, if there's any issues with pricing, you can collect those extra dollars on your final invoice. You don't want to be editing an invoice. A proposal, you can edit as much as you like and go ahead and invoice at the end when you're ready. So it's much cleaner bookkeeping to start on a proposal. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to click convert, and what it will do is just take a couple seconds to move these items to my document. I'm not having to copy and paste or start from scratch. It's moving all of those details into the draft version of my document so that I'm ready to go. Now, again, with that jute rug, which is at the bottom here, it's pulled the client-facing detail. Internally, I can see the correct name. I do want to show you how to set your bookkeeping from here. So, you can see some items that I have pre-saved a markup for, but if for any reason I haven't and I want to mark it up on the document level, this is where I would do that. So let's say this cushion is $80 and I want to mark it up 20%. Again, just like from the clipper, I put in my percentage, I click my calculator, I set my markup, and didn't mean to do that, 20%, and it's there ready to go with my markup. If for any reason you want to share your trade discount, so let's say we're going to use this cane dresser. Let's say that this is my trade cost, but it actually retails for $4,000. All I need to do is put in the recommended retail price discount, put in $4,000, show discount, retails for, is that right? Yes. Yep, there we go. Maybe we'll make it a bit more so there's a bit more of a discount for our client. Let's make it $5,000. Well, actually retails for $5,000. So what our client will see is that they're paying $3,980, but because they're working with us as the designer, they're actually getting 20% off retail. Then when you're happy with this, you can come to the bottom of the page here. You can select your deposit. Let's say we're taking 100% deposit on this in the ideal world, and then we can click save. So now that we've clicked save, we're going to be in the published view of our document. And there's a couple things that you can do from here before you share this with your clients still. So first of all, you'll notice that now we're in the published view, our document number is created, it's got our business details at the top, our client details, and then those line items we were working with are here. I want to draw your attention to the client view and the manage view. So you can toggle between the two. The client view is what your client will see, and the manage view is what you will see. So let's go into the manage view. You'll notice when I do toggle into the manage view, there's these extra set of permissions that appear. So I can drag and drop to reorder items. So absolutely. So let's say we want to move the cushions to the top. We can do that. And you'll see that I can select multiple items to group them as well. So all I need to do to select them is click on them. They'll turn blue. When I scroll to the bottom, there's a button that says click to group. I can call this cushion options. I could choose a cover photo if I like, go ahead and click and save. And now those items will appear in a folder that I can either lock or allow my client to see the grouped contents. Yeah, so they can click in. That's a really handy feature to use if you do any bespoke furniture. Perhaps you have a different line item for the material, the filling, the base, the labor, but you want to just put it all into one line item and lock that folder and call it custom sofa. You don't want to show your client how sausage is made, but on the back end, you want to track all of those moving parts. Grouping is great for that. The other options that come up is view markup. So you'll see by default, when you're in the client view, they can't see the markup. You could absolutely turn that on if you wanted to. But what is really cool is this approve per line item. So when we turn that up, you'll notice that now we have a green toggle that allows your client to approve items. So again, you might be going ahead to send the proposal off so that you can start the project, but maybe there were still a few options you didn't get 100% clearance on. So let's say the cushions are the options that we want them to choose. When we go ahead and send this to our client, again, we can click into the preview to see what it looks like. They get a live link. They'll get a link to their proposal. And what you'll see here is it's going to show me the total of the document at the bottom here, 11,893. And when I click into my options, and let's say I'm going to go for the tassel cushion and not the other cushion, again, it looks like the room board. When they click on the document, they're still getting that live view where they can click through and get a better view of the items while they're choosing which one they want to approve. I'm going to decline the bottom cushion, and what that is going to do is it's going to deduct that amount from the total document so that they can submit approval. And if I did have credit card payment turned on, I could go ahead and pay for this proposal right away. So you can see it's going to eliminate that back and forth. They don't need to tell you that they don't want that cushion and you need to go away and delete it off the proposal and create it again and resend it and just delay the payment. They can go ahead and say that's the one we don't want. Now we know exactly how much we need to deposit. You get paid faster, and what an easy experience for your client as well. So I want to show you a couple of ways to go from your proposal. When you click in the menu, you can start your invoice. I'm not going to show you an invoice because it pretty much looks the same as a proposal, except again, you don't have that approve and decline function because everything on an invoice should be paid for. But I do want to show you how to create purchase orders because this is pretty cool. You'll see here, it's showing me all my line items and the suppliers that I need to order these items from. So I've got a couple of repeat ones here. I've got Globe West a couple times. I've got West Elm, and I've got one Trit House and one Life Interiors. So I think have about 4 different purchase orders that need to be created, and maybe 3 items need to go and be condensed onto my Globe West purchase order. Now you might have a proposal that has 20 plus items, so you need to create all of these purchase orders. The beauty is that Houzz Pro will do this for you really quickly without you having to worry too much. So let's just go ahead and click continue. It's going to pull those items and it's going to auto generate the 4 purchase orders that I need. There we go. And it's just loading through. And there we are with today's date, the 4 ones that I needed. Globe West, Trit House, Life Interiors, and West Elm. So they're all being created. And again, as I mentioned, when I click into it, it also recognized the items that needed to go onto the one document, and it condensed them together. How easy is that? Now, you can send this through to your supplier, and you can also set the status. So are you waiting on a quote from your supplier? Is it back ordered? Has it been delivered? I would also recommend, even if you are purchasing from a retail website and you're just ordering online and they're sending you an invoice, you're not physically sending them a purchase order, I would still recommend go ahead and generating that purchase order and then just attaching the online invoice to this purchase order and marking it paid. And the reason for that is when you go into your project tracker, so I'm just going to go into this project again, and I'm going to go into the project tracker, and what this does is it's going to give you the status of every item and where it's at within its life cycle for this project. So if you don't convert to your purchase order, it's going to be living on the last document that you created, so on a proposal or an invoice, when in actual fact it is now ordered. So go ahead and convert that so you can see that at a glance's eye, yes, I have ordered that. Attach your invoice and this will be all up to date, and you'll be able to track what is happening with all of your items really quickly and easily within the project tracker. So to just give you a little bit of information, the project tracker is a self-generating tracker. So it's pulling from the data from your document. So you don't need to come into the tracker and update it and fill out the details. As you convert your documents, these will, the tracker will update and the status will be up to date for you. I'm going to leave it there because that's a lot of information that we've covered today. I'm going to switch back now to the main view and see if there are any questions that I can answer for you guys now.